So let's talk more about the town nurse-based system. Now, with the community supports, you'd also find people like, the food pantry people. That would be community support. And these would be people on the town nurse oversight board. And if you've ever been into the food pantry, you would see a cadre of the best people in the community right there, serving God, helping people, people helping people. But it's got to be channeled. It's got to be funneled. This is the way to do it. Okay. So, like I said, I was raised by my dad and mom in Harwich, and I like to say the nuns raised me. And so I think I do have a gift for these systems. How you could look at this system and say that this person that designed this has a gift for this. I don't know how you could say that, and you don't want to protect me. You want me thrown away in Taunton because you're fond of some goddamn cop or lawyer, and they're working for the rich. Pretty bad news. All right, shift gears. Let's go to the clean vote system. Maybe I should change the name of that clean vote system to the check the math voting system, because at the core of the system you have a machine, which is a machine without a chip. It's not a computer-based machine. You could do it with mechanical gearing if you wanted to, but it would be a counting machine, of which a ballot would be put in, and there would be sections of the paper ballot that would be counted. The machine wouldn't know what election was going on or what choices were being made. The machine would only know to count the box here as one if it's checked off. If this box is checked off here, count that as one. So it's a very simple binary system. Either it has a check or it doesn't. And you would plug in, and I've got the post office laden with this work too, because we have a federal office that's everywhere in this country. And so at the last minute before the elections, you would have the printed ballot. That's just my idea. I'm not sure how viable that is to have this done locally. This is for federal, state, local elections using this system. But I think that'd be the way to go. That would be de rigueur, that you would have at the last minute. With ping pong balls, the choices would be laid out in order, in a random order, not alphabetical, just random, using the ping pong balls. Let's say you had a simple ballot and it was a town, and you had 6 or 8 different races and 10 questions, let's say. Okay, that you can understand. That would be laid out in print in the format of the counter. The machine and the ballot would have sections, and those would never change. And so you wouldn't have these corruptible computer chip based voting systems. So that needs to be worked up. I've explained it to different folks, and I don't know. I'm getting paranoid, honest to God. I wonder if whatever I put out on the computer, I just wonder, where's it going? You know, do I really know where it's going? And I don't. And I'm starting to feel like my work is just wasted, because if you have if you have such people that are finagling with the system in every way, from fake news media, you know, the big money media, newspapers, etc., with the talking heads on TV, those people want what they want. They have needs and desires, and they're not even-handed, and they have an agenda, which is the agenda of basically the rich, as I see it. So if you have someone who's boxed out, let's say me, for example, boxed out on fisheries issues by your local rich people, and then boxed out on other issues with so I said fisheries, and I had one off the top of my head. Oh, the windmills, right? So we had, for years, we had this windmill debate going on, and I said, this is ludicrous. It seems to be all about yes for Jim's wind farm, Jim Gordon, Cape Wind, or no for Jim's wind farm. And there were no discussions, because the discussion was controlled by people who had an interest in narrowing the debate to yes or no for Jim's wind farm. Now, at the time, I was trying to write letters to the editor. I was writing letters to the editor. You know, what about a consortium model? And I still feel this way, that we can all plug into. If we want to own a windmill, then we can plug the windmill into the infrastructure offshore, wave generator windmill, so that I would be providing, as a windmill owner, I would be providing either electricity if it were close by, or compressed air. There'd be conduits for the compressed air, and oxygen-rich compressed air, because you are cracking water into oxygen and hydrogen, and then hydrogen. So why do that? Because you need the scalability of green energy in such a way that makes green energy immune from the vagaries of the wind, or as they say, intermittency issues. So the wind blows, and then it doesn't blow. That's intermittent. So you would be cutting the cord on intermittency issues. They would be irrelevant, because you'd have deep water storage of compressed air, hydrogen and orca, oxygen-rich compressed air. And these would be on tap, and these would be coming in various lines inland. So if you're of the mind that you're the rich guy and you want to keep a hold of the infrastructure, damaging as it may be to the environment, and this is where I have a real beef with President Trump. Although I love President Trump, my wife and I love him. You know, you can't just do this and have me sit in the audience. I have to raise my hand and say, I am opposed to trashing windmill power. And President Trump, I was hearing him the other day, just trashing, just dismissing the wind energy deal. Just trash it. Very, very cavalierly. And I think that indicates, subservience. But I'd rather have a subservient Donald Trump than a subservient Hillary Clinton, honestly. But if you elected me as Pope and President, or Pope and or President, however you want to look at it, or President, I would not be serving the rich on Nantucket. And the reason I say on Nantucket is this. It made headlines that both Trump and Hillary Clinton went to Nantucket to explain themselves to these rich people, of whom I never saw any demands for, hold the phone here. You tell me who Trump is meeting with and who Hillary is meeting with. You tell me right now, who is this? Who are these people? Who are they? I don't know who they are, but I probably met them. Worked on their boats. Very nice people, I'm sure. Things have a way of evolving depending on what we reward. And in this country, over the years, we have rewarded the oligarchy. So they like to hire people, this oligarchy, who are not too smart and who work within the parameters of, you work for us first. The people that vote for you, they're going to either vote for you or they're going to vote for one of our other puppets. So now we have Biden as a puppet, obviously, an obvious puppet. I think Obama was a pretty obvious puppet too. And then W. Bush, another puppet. And then, the Clinton, Bush, Clinton, brand name puppets here. I don't work for the rich, so, it's important to work for God and not for the rich people. Bill Weld in Massachusetts was a puppet. He still is. Romney, same thing. Governor Baker, same class of so-called leader. These are puppet people that get in. So how do you explain how Massachusetts is a big Democrat state? No, it's not. Mass is oligarchy controlled. Oligarchy is not two-party based. Oligarchy is based in patronage, or if you want to look at it this way, a collective of patronage people. So if you want to do well, you sign up and you line up with that. I think that's pretty much how a lot of people are understanding things now. And I mean the good people who are liberals and conservatives, both. They both understand that the Republican Party and the Democrat Party are dysfunctional. So the voting system, I like to think that can be tied to a comprehensive ID, identification system. And as I have it drawn up, in order to shift over to some of these systems, you would want a 4-quadrant approach in the United States. You'd have from the let's say, southeast corner, from the southwest corner, from the northeast corner, and from the northwest corner, you'd want a line drawn. So this would be Oregon, Washington, and a line would come in Maine, a line would come in. And as the lines got closer to the center, geographically, of the United States, behind the lines would be done. And you'd go in and you would sign people up for the solid identification system, of which you would need that, excuse me, you would need that to vote. And in the future, I would like to see, as kids in Germany for decades now, I believe, they have paid for their lunch with their digit, their finger has a little fingerprint that identifies them. Okay, you got your lunch, it's done. You got your lunch. And maybe with the voting system here in this country, you got your lunch. No, I mean, okay, you get your ballot, and, you know, it's all a matter of high security and photography, etc. And you would be identified by your digit, by your photograph, and if there were any problems with that, you could identify with the iris. And to my way of thinking, I want blood types DNA as well in the identification mix. And one thing over in Great Britain that they've done for years is they have, let's say if a rape occurred, they'd go around and people would spit in a little container, and they would have that now, that person's DNA in the registry. And lo and behold, come with me, you're under arrest. You know, your DNA found in the victim basically proves that you've been there. We in this country need to step up on systems that save money and get the job done. So your identification system saves money, gets the job done. It would interface with something I call AMP, Automated Military Presence, such that if you had, let's say, someone who was cognitively impaired and someone sent them in to rob a liquor store, it wouldn't go over too good to put a bullet in that person's head, because, you know, you can force somebody to do something, or go in and rob the bank, or you can be coerced. Okay, so you identify somebody with a system almost immediately if there's a problem, and then you can go from there. So the interface between systems with the ID systems is enormous. It would interface with the AMP, which is Automated Military Presence. So if there were an active shooter in a library or a school or downtown or in a bar room, you know, these are the problems we're having. Incidentally, I like the Japanese system of gun control, but I would couple that to what I call my fireman's militia, or call it whatever you want, firehouse militia. Because I think there are certain people that we want to have guns. We want to ask them and subsidize them to have a gun. These are the solid people. And with the AMP, you want to get in early with the weeding out of people that are unstable, that should not be in any way having a gun, or even training on a gun, or even a paintball gun. No. So I think the better part of wisdom is just to say to some people, We love you, but you have some parameters that we are putting on you. And whether you like it or not, this is for the good of our society. This is good for the societal organism. I had to come up with that. You have society as an organism. What was it Romney said? Corporations are people, my friend. Well, that's poppycock. But you could say, a little closer to the truth, our society can be seen as an organism, not as an individual, but in a way there are strong parallels with that. So these identification systems that touch on so many things will save us lots of money, and especially with the town nurse-based system, if we get a handle on these criminal elements too, and they just are too paranoid to commit a crime, that's going to be wonderful for them, believe me. Some people are a little bit soft, and they don't make good judgment calls, and they get into trouble. They're mischievous. Best way to nip that in the bud is with these types of systems. People need to be shepherded in a lot of cases. So if you want to protect your taxpayer dollar, you want to go with these systems of mine here. Now, to go along with an identification system, also you would have camera committees. And of my design, they do not tie into the police department directly, but they have connections. But they tie more into the town nurse-based system than they would the police department. And that's because we don't want this specter of Big Brother. You won't see your town nurse board as Big Brother. So when a crime happens, we want more cameras, not less cameras. Now, where I live in subsidized housing, and where I have lived in the past, let's say Hyannis, etc., I really want the cameras there. And wherever crimes occur, the cameras should go mostly to. So if you have a liquor store, the cameras and the automated military presence go in there. So you would have a committee that could be elected of some very good people that are very discreet. You would trust them. These are local people that could work with the police. But I have severed it from the police department, and that's just the way I work, because we don't want Big Brother, and the police department can be representing Big Brother. And the party hacks tell Big Brother what to do, or rather, the party hacks are controlled by the rich and they control the police. And you want separations and you want checks and balances, and this is all about designing systems with those. Rather than design a bad system, design a good system. So the camera committees can take my camera on my rented property and use that. I shouldn't be dependent upon these very uptight government workers and agency people to say, no, we don't want cameras here. That only lends to the drug culture. As simple as that. And the criminal element. Do we really want to be paying for all this stuff? All these decades we pay and we pay and we pay. So these are answers so that we don't have to pay. A lot of this is like, whoa, we're wasting such money. Why do we have to pay? I don't get it. Why don't we do this and this and this so that we have more control, so we don't have to pay, like the opioid crisis, so-called. You know, it's not about, oh, we have too many pushers. No. We have Afghanistan growing poppies. That's an element not on the table, because it's an oligarchy thing that it not be on the table. And we have police that are scuffing their feet and looking down at their feet. When you say to the police, why are you not arresting these particular druggies in this particular drug house? Why? All they can do is look down at their toes. Too bad for them that they work as a cop in the United States of America, where we have allowed for the illegal drug business, not to mention the big pharma immoral drug business. Would get me going on that, Mr. Running for Pope here. Oh my God. Do you realize how immoral that our big pharma is? So immoral? You know, decades ago, I mean, when I was early on living on Nantucket, I said, these people should just be nationalized. Just take it. Take these big pharma companies and get the job done. This is horrendous. I thought it was horrendous back then. Hang on, Hepsie, hang on. We have to hang on and do the right thing. Thank you for watching the Scannell Agenda.